This is just Bob Bowman, and I'm coming with another video. In this video, I am going to be discussing the topic if you find yourself having a problem with relationships, it is your fault and you don't deserve it. And I want to credit the Man of Tomorrow and Dennis Sperlin, those two channels and those two people, for inspiring this video. Now, before I get started, I want to clarify some things. First, I want to say I'm not bashing anybody. I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm just trying to come with some logic and some facts that a lot of people they don't want to accept, but they need to. And it's sometimes they are naive or they're gullible and they don't want to accept what is right in their face. And this is the type of video to helping you accept what's in your face and ways that you can use to overcome it. Now, I understand that a lot of us come from communities where we weren't accepted, we were ostracized, we were rejected, we were made to feel like we were the less of the less at the bottom. And we worked real hard. We did everything that we were told to do in order to improve ourselves. And even though we've done these things, we're still not treated with any type of respect. We're still looked down upon. We still expected to take the low hanging fruit. We're still expect to be okay with being disrespected. It's kind of like the one guy in Juice, the heavy set guy that the group always teased and made fun of, but he hung around him because in his mind he felt as though he was of lower status than they were instead of figuring out who he was on his own. He wanted to belong. And I understand that all of us want to belong. We all want to fit in somewhere. We all want to be accepted, especially if we come from a certain area. Like myself, I came from the inner city. I came from the south side of Chicago, and I wanted to feel like I was accepted. But the reality is that I wasn't accepted there. The way that I think, the way that I act, the way that I talk is not accepted there. I didn't have the so-called swag. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have the status. I didn't even have good pairs of shoes growing up most of the time. So, with that being said, I was always at a disadvantage. But then there was a time where I really worked hard to clean up my image and I really worked hard to try to prove myself to being at a higher status than what I was being presented. And after doing all that work, after doing all the volunteering, after going to college, after getting the best grades that I could get, after cleaning up the neighborhoods, after doing all the volunteer work, this is with organizations that, and this is outside of organizations that I've done this. After all that, I was still treated like trash. And it's a lot of men out here that go through that and they get discouraged. They give up. Some men commit suicide. We see it in the world when good-hearted men get taken advantage of. But the reality is that these men have been doing the same thing over and over again, trying to prove their worth to people that don't like them, that don't care about them, and they keep on doing it over and over again and getting the same results. And that's a form of insanity. You see, I'm not going to sugarcoat it to make you feel a little bit better about the situation. I'm going to give it to you raw, true, and uncut. And it's a lot of men that lower their standards and allow themselves to be involved with women that they know isn't good for them or they know they're not sexually attracted to because they feel as though this is the best that they can do. And then it doesn't work out anyway. You know why? Because it's their fault. It's their fault for giving up on themselves. And another thing, if you're not able to get the type of woman that you want, you don't deserve that woman. And what do I mean by that? Now, I just said that in certain communities, you're not going to be accepted if you don't fit a certain criteria. This is something that we all know. This is something that we all understand. And there are certain people out here that will gaslight you and try to say, oh, no, it's not like that. But you already know that it's like that because there's way too much information out here to say otherwise. Now, how is it your fault? How is it that you don't deserve what it is that you want? Because you haven't adapted to the situation and the circumstances that you find yourself under. And adaptation is what's needed with us, the so called average men, the so called non select. And what do I mean by adaptation? The way that you've been thinking hasn't been working out for you. So you got to figure out a new strategy on how you're going to cope with the environment that you find yourself in. Now, you have men like Coach Greg Adams that preaches the free agent lifestyle. Now, I've done that a few times in my life. Actually, I've recently used that. I don't like using it all the time because it really doesn't fit me. And the free agent lifestyle is pretty much saying, you know, don't get into any serious relationships, stack your bread, which I agree with those. But then he's also saying pay a little bit here or there for some tail every time that you really, really are thirsty for it. And then if you don't have the money or you don't want to spend the money, find you somebody that you're really not attracted to and try to, sleep with them on the sneak. Pump and dump pretty much. Now, have I done that before? Yes, I have. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say that I haven't done that. I've done it recently. But I don't like doing that because I understand how people's feelings and how people's emotions are. And sometimes a person, even though you're upfront and you're honest with them, they still want to force or try to convince you to take a bad deal, even though you already let them know that that wasn't on the cards. So, no, I don't like doing that. Now, you also have people that say, oh, just take whatever it is that you can get and just settle and shut up. Now, if you think you can do that, go ahead and do that. And I'm going to be honest with you. 9 times out of 10, if you take that approach, you're not going to be happy. You're going to have a lot of content and a lot of anger in you. Not content, contempt, excuse me, contempt and anger in you. And eventually, you're not going to be able to be the person that you need to be in order for that relationship to last. Or you're going to end up being like a doormat where you just be quiet about everything and you get taken advantage of by that person that you really don't want to be with, but you won't leave because you're like, hey, I want to be in a relationship and I don't want anybody to make fun of me for being single. And that's some weak shit. So you have that. My my solution that works best for me is getting my passport, exploring the world, seeing what options I have out there, learning about the world out there. And if I find somebody that I like either abroad or here, then I will be ready to settle down. And at the same time, I'm still going to be working on myself while I'm doing this. So it's more than one solution that you have. You have these pickup artists and these game coaches. If you want to try that, try your luck with that, go ahead. It's no guarantee of success with any of these strategies. That's the harsh reality of it. Men and some women that listen to this, you can hear what I'm saying, but I'm going to be honest with you. It's no guarantee for success. Now, have I been married before? Yes, I have. And it was no guarantee of success and it didn't succeed. Why? Because we both, me and my ex-wife, we both got into the marriage uh trying to consolidate what we had in order to build upon that and get it better and bigger. And that's a marriage based off of convenience, not off of love, not off of trying to build a community or anything like that, but off of convenience. And that's just being honest. That's being 100% honest. That's being 100% transparent. And you have a lot of people out here that have relationships based off of convenience. Oh, the vagina is there, it's easy to get, it's convenient, so let me just settle for that. You have men that do that or women that do that. They have a man that they really don't like, but they know they can have control over him and they can have him do everything that they want, and he looks a certain way, so they gonna deal with that, and it's convenient for them. And it's your fault if you take that route and you still become unhappy and unsatisfied if you want to be with somebody due to being convenient. Or you put on your big drawers or your big panties and you learn how to deal with being by yourself and doing things on your own. You stand on your own 2 feet. You don't depend on people too much. Like, yes, you're going to need some help every once in a while. And God made it like that to where we would need help every once in a while. But you don't want to be too dependent on other people. You want to be interdependent. That way, you wash somebody's back and then they wash yours. That's the way that it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be one sided. And you have a lot of people that get into these one sided relationships thinking that they can change the other person, and you cannot change anybody unless they want to change. And if you find yourself in a situation with a person that doesn't want to change and you was trying to change them, it's your fault. And you're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. Either you're going to stick with that person and deal with the crap that they give you, or you're going to break up with that person. You're going to end up single anyway, and you're going to have to deal with the consequences of the breakup. And there's no way around what I'm saying. Everything that I'm saying is actual, it's 100%. Now, I have to deal with the consequences of getting my passport and traveling, knowing that there's times when I won't have the time or the money to do so. And I'm going to have to be by myself a lot. While there's going to be people that'll try to shame me and say, "Oh, I thought you was leaving. Why ain't you gone yet?" But I am gone. Mentally, I'm gone. I'm not here anymore. I'm already thinking about my future plans to go on a vacation, on a trip. Physically, I'm still here. I have to be cordial. I have to be polite, but I don't have to deal with anybody because I made that choice and that decision for myself, what was best for me. And you see, I'm not going to shame anybody that make the best decision for themselves. Like, if you think that getting a passport and traveling and meeting women overseas is risky, you're correct. But so is messing with women over here that have multiple children with different men. That's just as risky or even more riskier. Or we seen what happened with Tory Lanez in that situation and how he ended up being convicted of shooting somebody that he possibly didn't do because there was reasonable doubt in the case. But he was still found guilty. So what is that saying? That's saying that any choice that you make is going to be a risk in the choice. And whatever choice that you make, the results of that choice is going to be your fault. It doesn't matter what happens, either positive or negative. Ultimately, you're the common denominator and it's going to be your fault. And it's time for us, not only as men, but it's time for the women out there who are angry with the passport bros, who are angry with men that's not paying them the attention that they really don't want in the first place, to take accountability. For the men that seem like they having a hard time with being able to get along with the women here, it's time for them to take accountability. I have to take accountability. I have to accept where it is that I'm at and move forward to the best of my ability with my personal solution. And I can't get mad at anybody if what it is that the road that I take, whether it is successful or if it's not, is because this is my personal journey. And this video is for you to start taking accountability for your life. Stop playing the victim, because there are no victims. There are just people that made choices that just didn't work out for them. Man of Tomorrow, he explained this so eloquently in his live stream on December 24th. Dennis Sperling hit on this a little bit today on Christmas, you know? And yeah, it's a lot of men that out here that's lonely. And it's still those men's fault because they made the decision not to mess with the women here that's here. And if they don't feel like those women are worth messing with, hey, they got to deal with the consequences of that. It's no other way of looking at it. We all are at fault. Society is the way that it is because of how everybody is. And I know that I can't change certain things about myself. And I've gotten to the point to where I've had to accept what it is about myself that other people hate. There are people that hate the fact that I like slim women. There are people that hate the fact that I feel as though I deserve somebody that's fair looking, that's pretty, that's feminine acting. And I understand that they hate the fact that I think so highly of myself. But at the same time, I don't care at this point because I know that it's my fault. And I know I got to suffer the consequences. And I'm ready to deal with the consequences because if anybody got a problem with it, they can do something about it. And this is just how life is. Life is not easy, it's very difficult. You got to deal with people with their own opinions and their own expectations of what it is that you should do. But my answer for that is that my thoughts ain't your thoughts. Let me say that again. My thoughts ain't your thoughts. So you can think what you want to think. I'm not going to let it influence the way that I think. I think, therefore I am. And I am just Bob Bowman. Peace.